What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Let's Talk Movies. I'm Brad.
And I'm Miguel.
And my good friend Darren has notified me that I have put the wrong name because I'm an asshole. I put David Blum instead of Jason Blum. I think what I did was I combined David Gordon Green and Jason Blum, and I made David Blum. So maybe this is Jason Blum's evil twin. Thanks, Darren, for let me know I did that.
I think he smoked too much of the goob, my man.
I did
Am
not.
I right, gentlemen?
I made that thumbnail at about 11 o'clock last night. That's the problem. I was sitting on my couch about half asleep. So
too much of the goob, I gotta say.
Being tired and trying to work on show stuff equals messing up people's names. But what's going on, everybody? This is episode number 47 of our show. We're going to keep this one pretty short and sweet, I think. We're talking a little bit of Halloween Kills. We're going to talk a little bit of David Blum.
Good old David Blum.
We're going to talk a little bit about Jason Blum and a couple of recent interviews talking about the decision to put Kills both in theaters and on Peacock. We're going to talk a little bit about how the pandemic and the extra time with the delays have impacted the story of Halloween Ends. We're going to talk about Sam Raimi and his return to Marvel because he said some pretty interesting things, not only about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, but also about Spider-Man 3 from 2000. Was that 7, Miguel? 7, 8, 9?
It was like 2009.
Was it
I would
2009?
Say. Yeah, I think so.
Well,
why did I think 2004? Like today, I was talking to my nephew about
Spider-Man 2 is 2004.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2 is 2004. And then we're also going to talk about the Friday the 13th lawsuit because there's been a pretty big update with that. So before we get into any of that, Miguel, what'd you say?
I said it's going to jingle our giblets. What? I knew he was priming for that. I swear to God. He showed me that. He showed me how it was all set up for like the whole how you can add that video stuff. And I swear that thing is really set and prime, ready to go. It's literally if you stare at his screen, it's right there. All he has to do is click, and that's all he can do.
Oh, good Lord.
Just to forebode my comments.
What I was going to say is before we get into any of our news, Miguel, how are you doing? But apparently you're ready to jingle giblets or whatever you just said.
My giblets are jingled right now.
You've been on
ready to go.
When we start dropping merch, we're gonna have a shirt that says goob on it.
Well, yeah. Guys, we've made
the
amount of content we've had on this show. We're gonna have so many good apparel and so many good t-shirts. It's gonna be great. We just gotta do them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So before we do anything else, guys, thank you so much to everybody who joined us on Saturday night for our live watch along of Halloween 1978 and Halloween 2018. That was a blasty blast.
It was a lot of fun, guys. I appreciate you guys' time. I appreciate you guys taking the time to come down and sit with us. I know some of you, there were some big things going on in Kentucky, UK winning against Florida, KU winning their homecoming. So it was a big deal. Yes, on
Cincinnati
Saturday,
football had
Cincinnati,
they had like one of the biggest wins they've ever had. It was a really big deal. It was all over the Cincinnati news.
Hell yeah! So, but hey, look at us! Look at Kentucky go!
Right, that was a lot of good things happening in Kentucky.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so that was a really good time, and as promised, I am going to split up both of those commentaries into their own videos and their own recordings. So the Halloween 1978 commentary is going to drop tomorrow. And then the Halloween 2018 commentary is going to drop. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, I just switched I noticed something off with my mic, so I just switched it. And the Halloween 2018 commentary is going to drop on Thursday. Now, that kind of brings us to a couple more reminders. So, this Friday, we are not going to have a live show. This Friday or Saturday, there's going to be no live shows. I'm actually going to be out of town. But on Friday, in lieu of having another live show, the very first Let's Talk Movies vlog is going to drop on the channel.
You hear that, guys? It's going to be fun.
It is. It's going to be fun. It was a good time editing that. It was a good time doing that. So we do a little bit of shopping. We're going to step away from the studios a little bit. We do a little bit of Halloween shopping, hitting up some Halloween stores and stuff like that.
He was literally about the biggest, he was like a kid in a candy store, pretty much.
Actually, they all sucked. really wasn't. They actually weren't that good.
I wasn't good.
I usually, like, every year, and I talk about this in the video, I actually, like, I don't know, I set aside time to go in, like, all the different Halloween stores and stuff, and they sucked. They were not that good right now. And I mean, I filmed that 2 weeks ago. So, I mean, it's not like it was yesterday.
Well, I'm sure they have updated the stocks. I mean, I don't know.
Right. I mean, they may not have had any more stuff right then, but it's okay.
Well, it'll still be good content. That's all we're here for.
And I'm off all next week, so hopefully we'll be able to get in a ton of new content for you guys next week.
Great.
So, especially as we move closer to Halloween and stuff like that. So I'll be able to devote like all of my time to this, which is going to be pretty sweet. So, how pissed is everybody that Facebook is down right now?
No, it's back up, guys.
Is it back up?
I think it is back up.
I haven't been on.
I think I noticed it like around like, I don't know, like 2:00. I noticed that like my server kept saying like, couldn't refresh or whatever, and I was like, okay, fine, whatever. I don't need it anyways. And when I got home, TikTok was the only thing that was working, and they were blowing up the TikTok verse about like, oh, Facebook's done, Facebook RIP,
the
Instagram
TikTok
RIP.
verse.
Hey, I don't know how to fucking say it. The TikTokers, I guess. I don't know.
The TikTok verse. What?
Hey, we haven't established. Have we established a name for like TikTokers? I don't know, or like the TikTok stuff. I don't know. But nevertheless, they were the ones that were like talking about it. They were saying like, "Oh, yep, Facebook's gone, servers are gone." I don't know the whole story. I'm sure I'll read up on it later tonight. But it was fuck. The way they were saying it. They were like, "Yep, say goodbye to Facebook and Instagram. It's gone." There was a story where the domain for Facebook was up for sale. Like if you had the money, you could have bought the rights for Facebook.
Why though?
I don't get website and technology law, but I guess that's what they said. And I was like, how much is it? I would love to piss off Mark Zuckerberg right now.
I don't know.
So
I don't know. I don't know. So let's get into this. Let's talk some movie news. So Miguel, where do you want to head first? Do you want to talk Halloween? Do you want to talk Friday the 13th? Do you want to talk Sam Raimi and his comeback to Marvel, his big old Marvel comeback? I mean, what do you want to talk first?
Let's talk about Sam Raimi. I'm excited for Sam Raimi.
Let's talk some Sam Raimi. So obviously, if we think back to what was that too, I got to look this up. What year did Spider-Man 3 come out?
Okay, I'm gonna go if it was in 2004.
Oh, 2007.
I was gonna say, yeah, it would be about 3 years.
7. Okay, so if you think back to 2007, I believe in May is when Spider-Man 3 came out. It was not the most well-received Spider-Man film. It wasn't.
It was the dark horse of the Spider-Man family. I think it still is to a certain degree.
It was. Now, to be fair, I love Spider-Man 3. I do. I mean,
I loved it too because as a kid, you notice like that was one of those movies where like everything was advertised for that movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure like Papa John's, all the other commercialized food industries were like advertising it. It was on TV commercials. It was damn near on everything, and it was hyping the entire movie up, kind of like how King Kong, the Eighth Wonder of the World, the Peter Jackson one. Kind of like that one. It really like advertised it so much to the point where I was really excited for it, and I got some of the memorabilias from the initial advertising. So I mean, I was really excited
Spider-Man
for it.
3.
Yeah, I was really excited for it, and I liked it. I liked it at the time. I loved it, but as we grew up, we kind of noticed it was like, yeah, this was poorly written. I'm not gonna lie.
Well,
so I mean, it is what it is.
I don't know. It's hard. I think a big piece of why that movie got so much crap was Venom. Because
it was Venom.
I'm not going to lie. Topher Grace is a very decent actor. Like, it's nothing really against him. But that incarnation of Venom sucked. Like, it sucked. It was not... I don't know. Venom is supposed to be kind of big and hulking and overpowering to Spider-Man. And Venom was like a skinny, nasty... I mean, it was fine, but I don't know. I don't think it was the right combination. Topher Grace wasn't right for that role. Again, nothing against him, but he wasn't right for that role. And the writing was just bad. Like, I don't know. like when he's got MJ and him and Harry are trying to help each other at the construction site or whatever, and the Venom suit like comes off of his face or whatever, and he's like, "I'm not gonna kill you. I'm just gonna hurt you. Like,
I'm just gonna
go
hurt
for
you."
it." And it's just like it was that like strange. I don't know. It was very, very, very strange.
It was, and that Venom was probably one of the most controversial Venom, like most controversial iteration of Venom from the comics. And one thing people really didn't like was the design of him, because they made him out just to be like him in a bodysuit. You know what I mean? Like it was just him in a suit, not this oozing symbiotic monster that Venom should be. Venom should tower Spider-Man, and it was they're at the same weight class.
They were they were like the same. They were the same height. They were the same like strength. It was strange. And that movie had its really cool things. Like I thought Thomas Hayden Church as Sandman was great.
He was the only one that saved the show or the movie. Sorry,
and he was also kind of the heart of the movie too.
Absolutely,
like that's he was a villain, but you kind of rooted for him in the end. You know?
Yeah, because he had like a decent backstory, and you understood why he had to do what he had to do, and it was interesting to like connect Sandman with him being the one that killed Uncle Ben. I didn't really like that. I'm not gonna lie, but it was cool to like have that dynamic.
Was pretty good. I really actually liked that piece of the plot.
Yeah, it helped give more weight to Sandman whenever he's trying to acknowledge the wrongs he's done in his past. You know what I mean?
Yes, and it's a good lesson of like giving people second chances. It added like some complexity to the story. I actually really liked that. And the whole thing with Harry, the thing with Harry had been building up for 2 movies. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that was also really good. It wasn't by any means a bad movie, but like you said, it's kind of the dark horse of the franchise. And there was the
last note. It was probably one of the first like superhero movie that had more than 1 or 2 villains in a movie. So, and obviously Sam Raimi was making an experiment with that. He took a chance, but it ended up being too clustered. I mean, as you can see here now with Spider-Man No Way Home, we're fucking quadrupling that right now.
Yeah.
So again, this third Spider-Man film is gonna take a big leap.
It was a lot for that story.
It
was a lot for that story because not only did you have 3 different villains and their stories, plus the Uncle Ben redemption arc story, plus bringing Venom into the mix, plus being with Mary Jane. Plus, I mean, there were so many things, but you also had that. And you could make an entire movie about Spider-Man trying to like battle himself with the black suit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it, like changing him. Like that could have been a whole movie in and of itself. But so this comes to us on Murphy's Multiverse, which is another really great source. Sam Raimi opens up on why he decided to direct the Doctor Strange sequel, even after Spider-Man 3's heavy backlash. I read this the other day and I thought it was pretty interesting. Let's make this a little bit bigger here. Let's do it that way. Director Sam Raimi is well known for directing the generally loved and well-received original Spider-Man trilogy starring Tobey Maguire as the titular hero. While the first 2 installments of the trilogy were standouts in the early days of comic book superhero movies, I would argue that they're honestly 2 of the best comic book movies of all time.
I would agree.
I think Spider-Man 2 is in the top 5, up there with Endgame and Infinity War, of best comic book movies ever made. And The Dark Knight. Spider-Man 3 received overall poor reviews from both fans and critics. The negative reception and backlash to the sequel halted plans for Raimi to direct the 4th film in the franchise. However, he is back to tackle Marvel Studios' Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. In a recent interview, the director opened up about the stress of returning to helm another Marvel film. I didn't know that I could face it again because it was so awful having been the director of Spider-Man 3. The internet was getting revved up and people disliked that movie, and they sure let me know about it. So it was difficult to take back on. Now, I kind of feel bad for Sam Raimi here. Like, People were wrecking him over Spider-Man 3. I know it was bad, but good Lord, it was not that bad. It wasn't.
Okay, yeah, it wasn't that bad. And you got to admit,
it's
he
not like it
had
was
some
a bomb.
pretty good. Yeah, it wasn't a bomb. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what the box numbers are, so I don't know if it was a bomb.
I don't mean a bomb in terms of box office. I mean, it wasn't like the worst movie you've ever seen.
Yeah, I gotcha. But also, like, he's a pretty good director. I mean, if you look at his catalog, he's a pretty solid director. And Don't Breathe, he directed that.
Yep.
He also did The Priest and of course the Spider-Mans. And
Sam Raimi did Evil Dead.
He did Evil Dead.
Yeah. Sam Raimi is the creator of Evil Dead.
Yeah. He's my favorite. That's one of my favorite horror movies since getting into horror movies. It's one of my favorite horror movies. And I love Sam Raimi. But back then, we didn't really keep track of these directors. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I was just all right,
too.
cool.
I mean,
cool movie.
You don't think about stuff like that when you're younger.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, thinking back now, and now that I can appreciate the movies for what they are, I mean, Sam Raimi, he did a pretty solid job in regards to that trilogy.
I agree.
The Spider-Man 3 obviously didn't hit it home, but the thing is, it wasn't supposed to hit it home. They were just supposed to build more of what Sam Raimi was trying to do, and obviously that didn't catch, and they had to scrap it. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, definitely. Real quick, let me get these comments. Art, what's going on, my man? He says, hey, Brad Miguel, sorry I didn't get my notification, and I'm watching Saw 6 and drinking a beer. Did I miss the Halloween Ends news? No, you did not. I think we're going to save the Halloween Ends news for the end of the show. I know Miguel's got to hop out of here a little early, and we're going to try to keep it about an hour or so. He also says, you guys look vibrant tonight with your purple Halloween and Hawaiian shirt.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. I was tempted. I wore this to the Jimmy Buffett concert and wherever the fuck it's called, Riverbend. Yeah, and good old Cincinnati. Hey man, you couldn't ask for a better day. So there you go.
Definitely. So let's read on here. The Doctor Strange director Scott Derrickson ultimately backed out of the sequel due to creative differences. We've talked about that on the show before. Scott Derrickson wanted more of a horror rated. He wanted this film to be rated R. And Marvel was like, we don't. You can, but we don't. While the sting of Spider-Man 3 has certainly not gone away, Raimi ultimately decided to tackle Multiverse of Madness after learning that it had an opening. And this is another direct quote from Sam Raimi himself. My agent called me and said they're looking for a director at Marvel for this movie, and your name came up. Would you be interested? And I thought, I wonder if I could still do it. They're really demanding those types of pictures. And I felt, well, that's reason enough. I've always really liked the character of Doctor Strange. He was not my favorite, but he was right up there with the favorites. I love the first movie. I thought director Scott Derrickson did a wonderful job, an incredible job. So I said, yeah, they left the character in a great place. I didn't think I would be doing another superhero movie, but it just happened. So obviously he wasn't planning on coming back to Marvel, but I think real quick, in case I don't know how you don't know, but with the Spider-Verse thing happening and with the fact that Tobey Maguire's Raimi's Spider-Man universe is kind of going to be a part of the MCU now, I think it makes sense to bring him in. I think that's probably why his name came up, because he directed the Raimiverse. He was the Spider-Man creator.
The Raimiverse.
And I think he's ballsy enough. If you look at Sam Raimi's movies, they all have a little bit of balls to them. And I think Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is going to be one of those Marvel movies that is going to go there. I think it's not going to be rated R, but I do think that it's going to be way darker than most of the other installments.
Yeah, I would agree 100% because he's not dealing with your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard for Sam Raimi to do his Sam Raimi thing with your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He made a great film, but he didn't lay down what he's known for in that movie. This, on the other hand, Multiverse of Madness and the sound and feel of this movie sounds like it could be a horror-esque movie, which is something Sam Raimi does really well.
Right.
Look at Evil Dead and Don't Breathe. Both are so suspenseful and so filled with horror that like it sounds like it's right up his alley.
Yeah.
And I don't think how can I put this? I'm not concerned with Sam Raimi directing this movie. Is that fair? Would you agree with that assessment?
Oh, I think he's a perfect pick.
Yeah,
I really do. I think he's one of my favorite directors. I mean, I think he's one of those directors that is unique. He always comes up with something unique, whether it's Spider-Man or whether it's Evil Dead. I mean, I think he obviously had a vision for this movie.
Yeah.
Or else he wouldn't have said yes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's that kind of guy. I feel like he wouldn't have just hopped on and been like, yeah, sure, why not? I mean, it sounds like he was like, I really didn't plan on doing this, but there was a reason why he came back.
This in the back.
I think there is definitely a reason that he came back.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange.
Honey, get my notebook.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is certainly a massive and highly anticipated film within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. While Raimi's work on Spider-Man 3 may always remain infamous, taking on the challenge to direct the Doctor Strange sequel could serve as the director's redemption story for superhero films.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was
the
like
second
redemption.
entry.
Yeah,
the second entry in the franchise is currently eyeing a March release. So there you go.
Next year, 2022.
Of next year, yes.
Okay, cool.
So we have Venom, obviously, which is obviously a multiverse type deal, and then we have Spider-Man No Way Home, and then Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is set to come out after that. And apparently, I mean, from what a lot of industry insiders have said, I believe Daniel Rickman said this. The guys at Giant Freaking Robot have said this. They were like, if you think Spider-Man No Way Home is going to be like insane, you have no idea what Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is going to be like.
Because
like insanity.
You have not seen
blow your mind.
You have not seen the What If episode with Doctor Strange. If you
if
you guys have seen that one, you guys will understand this Multiverse of Madness is gonna fucking rock our minds. Because from that episode alone, from What If, like the story that they played out with Doctor Strange. Shit got dark. Like it got dark really. Really quick.
Are you talking about the one where he fought himself and he kept trying to go back and save the lady,
his girlfriend? Yes.
Yeah, I did see. Yeah, I watched that one. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it was good. And that's just the tip of iceberg of what Sam Raimi could possibly do. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah, definitely.
So, I'm really excited.
Wholeheartedly, man. Yeah, me too. I think he's the perfect pick. You know what else a lot of industry insiders have said, dude, is that the multiverse is not going anywhere. That it is going, this will be like this will be the thing, like the Infinity Saga, like Thanos and the Infinity Stones,
the multiverse saga,
the Infinity War, that this will be like the multiverse saga. And I don't know, man, you said this on a show probably about a month and a half ago. I really have a feeling that we're building towards like the next Infinity War level thing is going to be Secret Wars. Like I'm sure it will. I really think that that's where we're heading.
But it's gonna be a while, man.
It's probably gonna be a while. I mean, it's gonna be
before we even get hints of a possible Secret Wars.
Yeah,
well, because we need to add so many people. Yeah, if you look at the roadmap, you can see that they're building up the universe again after the events of Endgame. I don't know if you heard, but Disney just released that there's currently 23 other films in production already. I'm just like, Doc, jeez, you guys don't sleep.
Dude, these people at Disney who write the Marvel and Star Wars stuff, I feel like it could be 2 a.m. and they're like, they're laying in bed asleep at night and they're just like,
I got an idea.
They're just sitting there typing with their laptop open, like while they're sound asleep.
Yeah, Kevin Feige's like Jeff Bezos in Amazon. Like he keeps track of your bathroom breaks. He says, "I need you back in this office writing a fucking baller story right now." Kevin
Feige goes to leave for lunch. He's like, "I'm gonna go get a cheeseburger. I better have a script when I come back." Dude, that's the other thing about Sam Raimi though. Is you got to think Kevin Feige didn't join Marvel Studios when the MCU began. Kevin Feige has been a producer since Spider-Man in 2002. I mean, Kevin Feige's been with Marvel, not just Marvel Studios with Disney, with Marvel since the very beginning. So, I mean, Kevin Feige...
He climbed the totem pole.
He did climb. Yeah. He really he climbed it. But Kevin Feige wouldn't have given this back to Sam Raimi if he didn't have faith in him.
Absolutely.
Especially with something as big as Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yep.
Because it's going to be such an influential film in the whole cinematic universe moving forward. So that's it for Doctor Strange. Let's talk Friday the 13th next, if that's okay with you, Miguel. No. There's been a fairly big update on the Friday the 13th lawsuit stuff.
Okay, let's have it.
So, couple of different things. Let me get this article pulled up. As you all know, Friday the 13th it's been locked in a crazy, disgusting. Speaking of crazy, disgusting, there's MTV Freddy. I know. It's been locked in this crazy copyright war over who owns the rights for what. Victor Miller and Sean Cunningham were trying to say that, Friday the 13th isn't necessarily the hockey mask and Jason and the machete and the things that we associate with Friday the 13th, the franchise. They're talking Friday the 13th, the original film, which, if you remember,
had nothing to do with.
Had nothing. I mean, Jason was a character, obviously, but
but the hockey mask and machete,
adult Jason. It was Jason that we saw for 3 seconds at the end of the movie when he jumps out of the water and hearing his name. I mean, it was all about Pamela and the story of how she kind of went nuts and stuff like that. So it's been locked up. We haven't, I mean, Friday the 13th has been on the bench for all this time. But Victor Miller has won the copyright termination appeal to reclaim the domestic rights to Friday the 13th. So you're probably like, what the hell does that mean?
It means he can only do it in the States.
Let's talk about it. Jason. I don't know what just happened. Where did that go? There we go. All right. So let's break this thing down. So we've been waiting 2 years now for an update on the next stop in the Friday the 13th legal battle that's been raging on for several years now. And we finally have one today. But first, since it's been a minute, a little bit of recap. Ever since a judge ruled back in 2018 that Friday the 13th screenwriter Victor Miller is the sole owner of the original screenplay, in the US at least, Friday director Sean Cunningham has been working to have the decision reversed. So Victor Miller was the person who wrote the screenplay for the original Friday the 13th. Sean Cunningham directed Friday the 13th, and we're talking about the original film. While the trial judge had ruled that the rights go to Miller after all these years under the Copyright Act's termination right, which allows authors to regain rights to work they signed over to a company, Cunningham and Horror Inc., which is Sean Cunningham's studio, were hoping that the Second Circuit Court of Appeals would end up reversing that decision. The Circuit Court was tasked with deciding if Miller will keep the rights to the Friday screenplay as decided in 2018, or if they'll revert back to Cunningham and Horror Inc. Mind you, there'll still be a whole lot to be worked through before Jason can return to the screen, no matter the decision. But this one is a massive legal hurdle that needed to be resolved first. So let's pause for a minute here.
Okay.
Let's pause. This does not mean, while Victor Miller has gotten the rights back to Friday the 13th, that doesn't mean that they're like, all right, let's go.
Let's make a movie.
Let's make a movie. Like,
not
he can't do whatever he wants with it. That's not what that means. That means that he owns the rights to the original film, the original property, not Friday Part 2, not Part 3, not the final chapter, not A New Beginning, not Manhattan, none of that stuff. He owns the rights to the original film. Where did my screen go? There we go.
There it is.
The Second Circuit was tasked with deciding if Miller will keep the rights. We already read that. The Hollywood Reporter's Eric Gardner, who has been a constant source of information on how this whole mess over the years, provides an update today, informing us that Victor Miller has now won the copyright termination appeal. In other words, the Second Circuit Court of Appeals has affirmed the district court's previous order, rejecting the argument and concluding that Miller was an independent contractor when he wrote the screenplay and is therefore entitled to authorship rights. Summary judgment has been awarded, therefore, to Victor Miller. As Eric explains, barring any reversal before a fuller panel at the Second Circuit or Supreme Court, this is going to the Supreme Court. Good Lord. Victor Miller will reclaim
because it's a high-profile case. You like
it really is.
The only way you can honestly go to it is if it's high profile. Honestly,
I know. It sounds kind of crazy for the Supreme Court to be arguing over like who owns Jason. Like I feel like that's such a low thing on the totem pole right now, but like it is a high profile thing because it's a big property. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm sure it's a complex lawsuit or a legal battle between these two entities. So I mean, obviously it has to go to like, it can't go to like your Joe Blow judge within that town. You know what I mean?
Right, for sure.
It has to go further.
Definitely.
By the way, I'm sorry for not knowing, but which one are we rooting for? Do you know what I mean? Like
I don't.
There's obviously like a right and like. Obviously, no, there's not a right and wrong, but there's someone you should root for. And I don't know, like, what happens. Like, if either one gets it, what's gonna happen? Are we just? I mean, either one is we're gonna get a Friday the 13th movie again, aren't we? Eventually. Like, unless one of them is just going to take Friday the 13th and just bury it at a fight or some weird.
I don't know if I'm necessarily rooting for either one of them. I think they both need to man up and be like, look. We never intended for this movie to be what it became.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I mean that in a good way. Like, I don't think they ever expected it to become like one of the big 3 horror franchises. You know what I mean? I don't think that was ever the intention. I think very famously, Sean Cunningham saw Halloween and how successful the original Halloween was, and was like, "Holy crap, we got to do that." Mm-hmm. And I think they decided to make. They thought it was going to be the scariest movie ever made, and it was a huge success. But I don't think they ever intended on it to have, God, how many sequels? 9, 10, 11 sequels? I don't think they ever intended on it being as big as it was. And it's great that it became as big as it was.
Yeah, but as every little small project horror film. Like, none of these horror films ever expected to blow up as big as it did. You know what I mean?
Right. I think my point in that, though, is that I think they both need to man up and be like, look, we were successful. Like, our work was a success. Here's your money. Here's my money. Go make another movie so we can make more money. But instead, they're trying to play whose is bigger, and they're whipping them out, and they're trying to figure out. I don't know. I wish they would just be like, look, we were both very successful with this. Like, let's take our chunk and move on. But they won't do that. And I also find it interesting that the person representing Victor Miller is also going to jump into this fight between Stan Lee and Steve Ditko's families and Disney and Marvel. He's going to be representing. So I don't know who which side he's representing.
By the way,
but Mark Toberoff.
I wonder, because you heard the news that they, settled with Black Widow.
I did. I saw that.
I wonder if they
and Scarlett Johansson said they're all good. That it's okay.
But I wonder if they just settled because of the Steve Ditko and Stan Lee lawsuit. You know what I mean? Like, it's like we can't have two battles on 2 different fronts right now. That's we had this. It's literally like Marvel is doing, I guess, the right thing in regards to this. They're like saying like, hey, we want to keep this thing going. And I'm sure they apologize or they feel bad for the fact of what they're doing is wrong to certain people, and they want to rectify that. As compared to these two for Friday the 13th, it's like you said, it's like saying like who's is bigger, and they just keep tug of warring, not really realizing the amount of that's pretty
I really wish I would have just envisioned what you just said.
That did not come out right. Yep. Anywho, they do not realize the amount of revenue they could generate if they just settled their differences and just made this new Friday the 13th movie, because right now it's the time. Everyone is begging for a Friday the 13th movie right now because of Chucky, Halloween, And what else? Well, it's just those two major 80s oldie horror flicks are coming back, and Friday the 13th is still landlocked. Like, they have no plans for it. I'm sure there's no plans for a Friday the 13th movie because they're too busy with this lawsuit.
I still say give it to Womp Stomp Films, man.
I don't
give
know
it
what
to
the fuck
them.
that is.
Never Hike Alone.
Oh,
give it to them, man.
Yeah. Which I'm surprised they're even allowed to make a fan. Well, I guess they labeled it fan film, but still, it's those two fan flicks. It really like teased the horror fans, and they want to see more because they love seeing Jason, and this generation wants to see more Jason after seeing that fan flick. And I'm sure all of you can agree with me. Like, I'm sure some of you have seen those two fan flicks and you loved it. So obviously you want to see more, but guess what? We can't because of this stupid ass lawsuit, which is, as Brad will always say, it's all about that money.
It really is. It really is, and it's a shame. So this is a huge step in the process, but it certainly doesn't mean that Miller is now free to take the franchise and do whatever he wants with it. For now, until various deals are worked out behind the scenes, which will most likely still take a long time. For starters, owning the original screenplay, this is what we talked about earlier, does not mean that you own the character of adult Jason Voorhees as we know him, and Miller's ownership of the work only covers domestic rights. The franchise will remain dormant, but here's hoping we're almost at the point where Jason can return once more. And I actually have a better copy of the actual write-up from the court. Let me get this pulled up. So this is literally what the court documents say. The dispute concerns whether, for Copyright Act purposes, the screenwriter Victor Miller was an employee or independent contractor of the film production company Manny Inc. in 1979 when Miller wrote the screenplay for the landmark horror film Friday the 13th, released in 1980. Almost 40 years later, in 2016, Miller gave notice to Manny, purporting to terminate. I don't know why I lost where I was. Purporting to terminate. I really can't. I was like, purporting to terminate its copyright under the authority vested in authors by Section 203 of the Act C or whatever. If Miller was Manny's employee when he wrote the screenplay, then it is a work made for hire, and that's the big thing. Work made for hire. That is from what I understand, that is the statement that is what won him this thing, because he was hired. The screenplay is a work made for hire. Under the act, Manny, not Miller, owns the screenplay, and Miller's notice is of no effect. Alternatively, if Miller was an independent contractor, Manny, when he wrote the screenplay, if certain other conditions are satisfied, then Miller is entitled to terminate Manny's and its successors' rights, and as author to reclaim it as his own. So he has terminated Sean Cunningham and Horror Inc.'s rights to the original film, and he has reclaimed it as his own property, as his own script, as his own story. Goes on, Manny argues primarily that Miller's membership in the Writers Guild of America East Incorporated, and as Manny's participation in the producers' collective bargaining agreement with the WGA in the same period, established that Miller was Manny's employee for Copyright Act purposes. We reject that argument and conclude that Miller was an independent contractor when he wrote the screenplay and is therefore entitled to authorship rights. Accordingly, the notice of termination that he gave under Section 203 is effective as to Manny and its successors. We therefore affirm the district court's order granting summary judgment to Miller, and that was affirmed. So there you have it. Victor Miller owns the rights to the original Friday franchise. Once again, if you're just joining us, that does not mean that Victor Miller owns the rights to adult Jason Voorhees.
The one we all know and love, yeah.
The one we all know and love, and any of the characters that came after the original film. It's just that original film. Now, here's the kicker, and here's my big hope. My hope is that instead of dragging all of this through court again to see who has the rights to make another movie, My hope is that a lot of this can be settled out of court in terms of who owns what. Victor Miller obviously owns Friday the 13th, the original film and screenplay. But hopefully we can try to figure out that, or they can try to figure out who does own the rights to adult Jason and to those characters, and that we can do that out of court. I feel like if it's in court, it's just going to get dragged out, and it's just going to take longer and longer and longer and longer.
It'd be much better just to settle this stuff, within each other's offices. I mean, I've seen Suits a couple of times, so I kind of know what I'm talking about. No,
I think if it's settled out of court, we'll get a Friday the 13th film much faster.
Much faster. But again, we're thinking. I'm not gonna lie. I would be thinking years until we even get another flick.
Oh yeah, I would get. My guess would be at least 3 or 4 years before we even get rumblings of another Friday the 13th film.
Yep.
Now, good thing for us, we have the Womp Stomp films. We have Jason Rising. We have God, what's another? There's a lot of really good Friday the 13th fan films out there, and that's great because we're not getting any official Friday the 13th content. So it's really great that we're getting that stuff.
And we're not saying it's like second par, like, oh, okay, I guess I'll have with this. No, it's a pretty good film.
Some of those movies are, some of those Jason fan films are about as good looking as like an actual studio backed film.
They do. And really the fact that it's low budget kind of makes it, even though it's like not as like high budget as like a Hollywood flick as compared to like the most recent Jason movie, Friday the 13th movie, whereas that one seemed more, obviously you could tell it's high budget. I don't know. Lower budget horror films kind of do it for me right now. As long as the writing's good. I mean,
like, when I watch Never Hike in the Snow, I actually thought to myself, I am proud that I contributed to this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it made me proud. I was like, man, I'm proud of this. Like, I'm glad that I donated a little bit of money to this. And I would do it again. I same thing with what Dave McRae and Bruce Dale did with It's Me, Billy. I mean, there are guys like that are upping the fan film game in a time, especially for Friday the 13th, when we are not getting any Friday the 13th stuff right now because this has been locked up. So if you're just joining us, Victor Miller has won back the franchise right, or not the franchise rights, the rights to the original Friday the 13th film. And our hope is that they will settle who owns adult Jason Voorhees and all of the characters that came after from Friday Part 2 and later, and all of the other details out of court so that we will get a Friday the 13th film quicker than that next time. It's like, I feel like the guy on that commercial, what is it, a Capital One commercial or something? You got to be quicker than that.
Fingers crossed.
The dollar bill on the fishing pole. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, man, fingers crossed. Jay Dead, what's going on? Glad to see you here. Heyo. So last but not least, let's talk a little bit of Halloween Kills. Again, I know the thumbnail says David Blum. I'm a dumbass. Darren Sands, our buddy Darren, has gracefully corrected me. It is Jason Blum, not David Blum. I made this late last night, and I was tired. And I think what I did was I combined David Gordon Green and Jason Blum, and I created Jason Blum's evil twin. So that's what I did.
Sounds like a good script. Write that down.
Write that down. So a couple of interesting articles that have come out about Halloween Ends.
I'm really excited to see what's going on with Halloween Ends. Even though I haven't seen Halloween Kills, it sounds baller. Like out of the 80s horror franchises out there, the Halloween is probably the one that's kept the most momentum. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As compared to like Friday 13th, Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street, Chucky, all of those. David Blum's the brother Jason. That's
I really didn't notice it. When I logged in here, I saw Darren had commented at 4:38 David Blum, and I was like, what the hell is he talking about? And then I was like, oh my God. And I went back and looked at the thumbnail and I put David Blum. I was like, Brad, you suck. Anyway, so Halloween Ends producer addresses whether production delays have impacted upcoming sequel story. Now, before we even get into any of that, before we even get into any of that, so obviously, we did an update a while ago. Fandom Empire broke this story about a month or so ago, and I know it kind of just fired off from there. Again, if you want to know nothing about Halloween Kills or Halloween Ends, Minor spoiler alert. In 3, 2, 1. Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends don't take place on the same night. Officially now. They do not take place on the same night. And
which is still a little tough for me to grasp. Honestly,
it'll be okay.
I don't know if it is for you.
We'll figure it out. It's the more I think. At first, I was like, "What the?" But the more and more I thought about it, I was like, "Okay, I can kind of see how this is gonna."
Mm-hmm.
I kind of understand. There was a lot of talk that
Michael.
I don't know what the hell that was. Something just flew into the window behind me. There's a window behind this black thing, and something definitely flew into the window.
Michael?
Don't know what that was. Hope nobody's breaking into my house. Anyways, there was a lot of talk about potentially the reason for the change in the script and the change in the story was because during the pandemic, they had more time to go back and reevaluate things and look at the script for Halloween Ends and say, you know what? Let's change this. Let's change this. I know Jamie Lee Curtis read the script, the updated script for Halloween Ends on the plane ride to Italy to the world premiere in Venice of Halloween Kills. And we have a little bit. Good Lord, there we go.
He was
holy
like,
shit.
"Okay, bye, Miguel."
We have a little bit of news about Halloween Ends and how the pandemic impacted the storyline. So the trilogy of the David Gordon Green directed Halloween films was initially I don't know what I'm doing. I almost said Halloween films. Halloween films was initially slated to conclude with Halloween Ends coming October, only for the coronavirus pandemic to see both Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends delayed by a year. Despite production on the conclusion of the trilogy being pushed back a year, the producer of the film, Rain Freeman, confirms that the final chapter in this series hasn't undergone many changes or updates, noting that if the filmmakers end up spending too much time trying to fine-tune an experience, it might come with detrimental changes. Halloween Kills hits theaters and on Peacock on October 15th, and Halloween Ends currently has an October 14th, 2022 release date. It's pretty much on track with where it was, Freeman confirmed with comicbook.com. David and co-writer Danny McBride went off and just wrapped Righteous Gemstones Season 2 yesterday. They've spent the last 6 to 7 months doing that. David's got he's such a creative force now that he's doing The Exorcist and he's got a Hellraiser TV series. The floodgates of horror are open to him. So I think he also has his convictions, and I think that he knows the general direction that he's sailing the ship. He continued, so are we going to avoid little things here and there? Yes. Has it given us time to reflect on things? Yes. And in some ways, it might be good and hopefully not, because I know sometimes when I sit with things for too long, you can juggle them to death instead of just going with your gut.
Yep.
But to answer your questions sufficiently, it's more or less the same thing we've had all along. So there you have it. So Ryan Freeman is saying that really the pandemic didn't really change the story that much. It's been pretty much the same from what they were originally going to do from the very beginning. Now, is he just saying that? I don't know. Is that true? I don't know. Not much was really known about Halloween Ends. Still not much is known about Halloween Ends unless you're an insider and you have that insider information, which we don't. And I don't really care to know that much about Halloween Ends. I'd rather see kills first and then go from there. But yeah, we know that Halloween Ends is going to be a very different film from Halloween Kills. Halloween Kills is going to be balls to the wall and, just high on goob a ton. But Halloween Ends is going to be different. So
yeah, and I'm glad he mentioned his concern of quote unquote juggling it to death, because whenever it was like pushed back a year, but damn near a year because of the coronavirus, people fall into that. Some people tend to fall in that little notion where it's like, okay, I have more time to look at it, review, edit, and then change some things up, as compared to leave it alone, like, okay, you're done with it, it's finished, let's roll the dice with it. Yeah. But if you have time and you spend too much time reviewing and everything, you get too critical on it, you end up making small changes here and there that really should have just been left alone. Like
right.
that was my concern initially when I found out that there were talks of big changes happening after the coronavirus event.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So, I mean, it's good to know that he's like saying, hey, we wrote the script. We made some small little changes here and there, but it's essentially the same thing that we wrote a year ago.
Right. So let me get some of these comments here. J-Dead says, I live like 30 miles from where they're filming or from where their shooting ends in North Carolina. I'm going to be checking it out a lot. I'll keep you all updated. Sweet, man. You'll have to keep us updated. If you get any, nothing too crazy, nothing too cray-cray, but if you get any pictures or anything, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I already heard a rumor about ends, like what the overall story will be if you all want to know. Honestly, J-Dead, I don't think I do want to know yet. I think I want to see kills first and kind of make my own ideas and my own speculation before I really learn anything too much. Art says, yes, Halloween ends. Yes, we're finally here. He also said David Gordon Green said the script evolved, and I like that. I do too. And I think based on what Ryan Freeman has said, is it Ryan or is it Rain? How do you say it? Rain? I think it's Rain.
Yeah.
Based on what Ryan Freeman has said, it sounds like nothing huge changed, like the overall story of the change. The overall story changed. That's what I was going to say. It sounds kind of like little things here and there have changed. So nothing like completely off the wall crazy. Just little things here and there. So let's see. This is kind of just recapping what the new trilogy is. I think there are other ways and other mediums in which to explore this franchise. The Ryan Freeman pointed out Rain Freeman, excuse me. I wouldn't necessarily say, I mean, there's always interest in exploring Halloween 3 Season of the Witch again. Is it something we'd race to do? I don't know. Our focus has been COVID delays, figure out how to do Halloween ends and shoot it, COVID protocols and all of that. All of those things coming out of that's been our focus. But I think it would be something where we explore the other outside areas of the Halloween universe. He also added, I think after this many films too, we have to look at other places just to get a little more creative, right? So that's even kind of interesting. So they're kind of looking at a
Season of the Witch.
They maybe doing a Season of the Witch thing, which I'd be down for. I think you need to wait a few years after you finish this trilogy, though.
Which I would be honestly cool if they're gonna do what I was hoping that they would, which was make a anthology of just Halloween in general. The initial goal of John Carpenter's vision of Halloween.
Right. I really hope that after Halloween ends, they're not like reboot it. like a year later, they're like,
I hope not.
Rob Zombie. No. We need you back. No, I hope they don't reboot
Rob Zombie
right
again is like,
give it.
Rob Zombie says, honey, get the notebook.
They want Halloween 3. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the fact that was going to be Halloween 3D? Like, why? Like, I don't need Michael Myers in 3D. Like, that's just not something that I
It would have been the tacky version, like 3D. You know what I mean? Like, it's unnecessarily in your face.
Oh, of course it would have been tacky.
So
it would have been tacky as hell. J-Dead says, I don't blame you. I kind of wish I didn't know now. Yeah, that's kind of my thing is like, again, I feel like I've actually navigated Endgame. I was kind of spoiled. Yeah. Honestly, I was kind of spoiled with, not with like Iron Man's death, but like the whole time travel thing and like what was going to happen. I was kind of spoiled and I was kind of disappointed, but I think I've actually done okay with Halloween Kills. Like, I know surface level things, like I said before, but I don't know who dies.
To be excited.
I don't know how the movie ends. I really don't. So, like you said, you know enough to be excited, and that's kind of it. That's kind of where you.
That's kind of the goal in a movie that you love so much.
Definitely. So you would like them to do the anthem after. So say after we finish Halloween Ends, Michael and Laurie die, or Michael dies, or whatever. Do you want to see more Michael Myers, or do you want to see more of an anthology type deal?
I just would love to see more of an anthology kind of feel. Again, guys, I'm sure you guys, we all agree Michael Myers is a fantastic horror icon. But I mean, like, the way they're hinting at it is like his story is about to come to a conclusion.
Yeah.
I think you have to come to terms with that. It's like it's like the Iron Man thing. It's like, look, Robert Downey Jr. is old. Like he can't play Iron Man forever, so we have to give it a decent conclusion, which they did.
Right. All good stories have to come to an end.
Very true.
Like they just have to. J-Dead also says, I think after Ends, there'll be an anthology on a streaming network, maybe a Loomis Chronicles. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people talk about that, like Loomis dealing with patients or Loomis dealing with like a young Michael or something like that. And like really diving into like Loomis's head. And I think that'd be cool. I think if they do remake Halloween, which I think it's pretty safe to say in a decade or whatever, they're going to remake Halloween. Because as Miguel said earlier, money.
It would be interesting to have a Loomis series. I was gonna say, because you see how like heated Loomis has been in the first Halloween, so it's just like, Jesus, like I wonder why he's like that. Because it can't just been from like just meeting Michael and just trying to figure out what he is, since he doesn't talk.
Yeah,
like you can't necessarily be that critical of a human being if he just doesn't talk and he just stares at you. Like something has had to happen during his childhood all the way up to his 21st birthday, where he comes out, I think. Michael? Right? Yeah, he was 21 in Halloween, right?
Yeah, he was 21. And I mean, of course, a lot of people would argue that, like, even thinking about Loomis is like staring at the wall, looking past the wall. He just stared at a wall. Like I mean, we're not going to show Michael like suddenly talking or anything. Like,
yeah, I hope
it's not going to be crazy. I think it would be more if you really kept the focus on Loomis. That would be interesting.
Yeah,
because it would be more of Loomis's like, okay, I'm going to try to help this kid. I'm going to try to.
It's kind of like a Silence of the Lamb.
Towards the end, Loomis is like, oh my, I can't get through to him. Like sitting at a bar drinking, like, oh, like I don't know what to do anymore. Like this is like I can't do this.
Yeah, make it like a psychological thriller and make it like a series. It'd be pretty cool.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, if you think about Loomis's arcs throughout the original sequels, I mean, Miguel. That's part of the reason I'm excited is for you to see Loomis in like 4, 5, 6, because Loomis is he's drunk half the time. He's scarred up and burned. He's sick of people like ignoring him about Michael. Like Loomis loses his shit in the later sequels. Like, and it's just like, why won't you go? Like, just crazy. So, I mean, I could be down for a Loomis series. I still think I would pick Gary Oldman. If they're going to reboot Halloween, I would pick Gary Oldman to play Loomis. I really would. That would be my
I don't know who Gary Oldman is.
What?
Wait, hold on. I'm going to know him as soon as I see it.
Gordon in the Dark Knight trilogy?
Oh. Really?
Yeah,
I can see that.
I think he would make a great... Now, in a reboot, not playing Donald Pleasance as Loomis. In a reboot, I think Gary Oldman would make an incredible Loomis.
Yeah, I could see that.
So I'd be down. So that's a little bit about Jason Blum's, or I'm sorry, not Jason Blum, Rain Freeman's. Yeah, J-Dead Miguel hasn't seen. I'm working on it, man. That's why hopefully we'll get a couple more commentaries this season. Because definitely I want Miguel to see some of them because we're gonna have a good old time. It says I have new comments, but it won't let me scroll down. I don't know what the hell is wrong with this. Oh, yeah. Art says, are you guys going to do live watching alongs for the rest of the Halloween franchise? We still got 27 days of October. We'll see. That'd be fun. That'd be fun. Maybe to do like a couple at a time. I know we'll probably do a couple recorded commentaries too. But we'll see. But like I said, I have all of next week off. So Miguel, if you're free, let's do it.
Hold on, baby. I'm coming. For that. Jesus Christ. You gotta be quicker with that button, man, for it to work.
I know. J-Dead says he's gonna love drunk crazy Loomis. He's the GOAT. Oh my dude, Loomis is what makes some of those old sequels.
Good. I can't wait to see them.
It's just
I've seen memes of funny. Crazy Loomis, and it looks funny.
Dude, Loomis and like how you guys in the comments know what I'm talking about. Loomis in Halloween 5 and 6, especially in 5, he's like when him and Meek, there's a scene with him and the new sheriff in the fire station. The sheriff is like, Michael's not coming back, and Loomis is like, look at my hand. Like he's just like, he's back. Like, he's so just insane. Miguel, you're gonna love Tina and Billy. Is he gonna love Tina and Billy though?
Here, pause. Here, okay. I gotta use this real quick. I'll be real quick. Okay.
Okay. All right, guys, it's just you and me for a little bit. You and me hanging out. Miguel's got to go take a little pee-pee break. Cookie woman. Dude, Art, you're right. Loomis in 5 is all up in Jamie's business. Dude, Loomis in part 5, it kills me because you know what? The scene that I always thought it was super creepy. When Jamie, like, you know, she can't talk, she's being mute or whatever, and she's having one of her like visions, and she starts like writing on the chalkboard or on the dry erase board or whatever it was. I don't even remember what it is she writes. But like the camera pans over and Loomis is like, he's just like watching this room full of kids. Like he's crazy, man. Even at the beginning when they go to cut, they do the tracheotomy thing or whatever it's called with Jamie's throat because they think she's like having a seizure and she can't breathe. And he runs in the room and he's like, wait. He's like, and he's just going crazy. The Ox says 243 hours until Halloween Kills. 243 hours.
Are you serious? Oh, yep. Yeah, I remember he mentioned that on Saturday. I was like, wow, we're going out to the hours.
Oh, yeah, it's when she draws Mac. You're right. She draws the big teeth and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, Miguel, we need to watch more of them.
Yeah, and I want to as well. Because Loomis is my favorite character. Just even the Rob Zombies. Like
he's going to stay your favorite character. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, man. Would you be down to do more of them in one night? Earlier, not later.
Okay, yeah. I would be down. I would be down to watch all of the Halloween movies, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll figure that out. We'll probably get that going in the next few weeks. Tina.
Am I gonna be scared of Tina? Like, what's going on here?
No. All right, real quick, last article of the night. This is with Jason Blum, or as you saw in the thumbnail, David Blum, because I suck. Darren from the Slaughtered Lamb reminded me that I wrote David Blum instead of Jason Blum because once again, I suck. Let me pull up this last article. So Jason Blum has enlightened us on why they chose for Halloween Kills to go both to have both a theatrical release and a release on Peacock as well. So yeah, Art says David Blum. I don't know, man. I made that thumbnail. I've said this story once already. I made that thumbnail at like 11 o'clock last night and I was like half asleep. And I think I combined the two names, but whatever. Also, look at that thumbnail. What's
freaking insane?
Jason Blum and two Michaels behind him. All right, so
is that hinting something? Are we having twin Michaels?
Oh my god, he has a twin.
Yeah, that'd be
what if there's a good twin and an evil? Like there's a good Michael and an even Michael, or an evil.
What's
Michael?
the good Michael going to be doing? Just wearing the mask and bagging groceries at the Haddonfield grocery store.
Plum. Plum. Oh, good lord. All right, Blumhouse and Universal gave horror fans quite the surprise when they announced that Halloween Kills will be available to stream on Peacock on October 15th. Peacock. On the same day it opens in theaters. The streaming release date was announced in September following a splashy Venice Film Festival premiere, and after delaying the release for a full year in the early days of the pandemic and just a month before Halloween Kills hits theaters, so it might have seemed like a sudden and unexpected strategy change. But according to Blumhouse CEO Jason Blum, it wasn't a Universal or Peacock decision, it was his, and it was a decision that ties back to their last big slasher release, the delightful 2020 horror comedy Freaky. Freaky. I actually didn't get to see Freaky. I didn't see it. Speaking with Collider for Amazon Prime's video, Welcome to the Blumhouse film series, Blum explained, it was my idea. Oh, shoot.
You wanted to emphasize it was my idea.
I didn't mean to make that big. It was my idea to do it. Peacock didn't approach me. I approached them. I, like everyone else, am a big believer in the theatrical experience. I think there should be windows. I think Universal's strategy of the 3-week window is a great strategy, but I had a bad distribution experience with Freaky. That movie is a great movie, and it didn't get seen because the distribution of it all got twisted up. My fault. So The release of Freaky was actually a really big influence on the decision to split Halloween Kills on Peacock and on and in theaters. So, and I guess that's true. Art says he didn't see Freaky either. I mean, I just didn't. I don't know. It for whatever reason I didn't see it. When did Freaky come out? Let me see.
I was about to type Freaky movie, and I was so scared with the result I was going to get.
Freaky came out November 13th, 2020. Yeah. That was still.
Oh, this is the one with
yeah.
Holy
with what,
shit! I was interested in this one.
J-Dad said Freaky was okay, 6 out of 10. I heard it was decent. Like 10? I heard it was pretty okay. Yeah, it was. It was kind of like a horror version of Freaky Friday.
Or like what's it called?
Trading Places.
It was like no, not Trading Places. It was something with like Rob Schneider. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Where like this crook gets his body switched by this high school girl, and she has to get her body back. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
That sounds like Freaky.
I know.
That sounds like the plot of Freaky.
It's exactly what Freaky is, but it was with Rob Schneider. Hold on, I need to look that up.
I don't know what you're talking about. The hot chick, yes, the hot chick. You're right. Art, thank you. The hot chick. It is called the hot. Yeah, I don't know how I didn't think of that. You're right. I don't know why I didn't. Thank you, Art. Thank you.
It was some like weird, like Egyptian little voodoo trash, and
the hot chick with Regina George.
Yep. It was a funny movie.
God, I haven't seen the hot chick in ages.
That was back when Rob Schneider. That was back when Rob Schneider was on his game. The hot chick and the Bigelow saga.
Yeah,
the Bigelow saga, the Gigolo saga, fucking hilarious. Those are by far one of my favorite comedies I've seen. So yeah, we'll do some commentary on those. Sure.
Yeah. Directed by Happy Death Day filmmaker and longtime Paranormal Activity screenwriter Christopher Landon, Freaky brought body swap comedy to the slasher genre, earned extremely strong ratings, it's still sitting at an 83% on Rotten Tomatoes at the time of publishing, and had an A-list appeal with Vince Vaughn delivering his most comedy-forward performance in years. It opened exclusively in theaters on 2,472 screens in North America on November 13th, 2020. Oh, there it is. I just had to scroll down to a 3.7 million opening weekend, ultimately taking home just 16.2 million worldwide. That is not a lot, but you also have to remember that was also when the pandemic was like, I mean, we were still kind of early on. I mean, that was almost a year ago now.
People were starting to get, frightful.
Right. So and it was still, and that was even like Tenet had the same idea. And we went and saw Tenet. I think Tenet was one of the only films I saw in the theater that year.
Yeah.
Like it really was. Yeah. And Tenet was a great movie. We actually Julie and I both really enjoyed Tenet. But it didn't do all that great because of the pandemic. So Blum continued, I didn't want to go through that experience again. I didn't want to have a movie that I'm really proud of, that I think is great, and have there be an excuse why people didn't see it. So I'm the one who pitched Universal, and then I pitched Jamie and David, and it was my idea. I stand behind it. I'm glad that we're doing it. And I completely understand what he's saying. Halloween Kills is a highly, highly anticipated movie. And either way, they want people to see it. I think with these, and I mean, I know Blumhouse is a big studio, but I mean, compared to, other studios, Blumhouse is still relatively medium sized. I get what he's saying. I think they want people to see Halloween Kills, regardless of whether they're vaccinated or not. Or whether they're willing to go to the movie theater or not. Because I know some people are still,
What? I was going to say best way to say that. Like, you don't want vaccinated people going to the movie theaters. Just saying, guys.
What?
You were saying like whether they're vaccinated or unvaccinated going to the movie theaters.
I mean, I hope you go get vaccinated, but like, I don't mean it like that. I'm just saying, like, I know some people are still leery about going to the movie theater and sitting in a theater. So I think they wanted people to be able to see Halloween Kills no matter what. I think that's and I think they're proud of that. And I think that's really cool. I think that's a really good thing. Hybrid streaming releases certainly aren't unheard of at this point in the pandemic, and the Halloween Kills day and date streaming release offers another variation on similar strategies embraced by Warner Media, HBO Max, and Disney/Disney Plus. Similarly, as Warner and Disney's release strategies continue to evolve, you should expect the same to happen with future Blumhouse movies. Case in point, Blum doesn't currently plan to take the same approach with Halloween Ends, the third and final Halloween film in David Gordon Green's trilogy, which is scheduled to arrive in theaters on October 2022. I don't want to do it for the third movie. I want to go back to traditional windows, but COVID is increasingly unpredictable, and that, God, ain't that the truth? And I didn't want to risk it again. I felt like I did that with Freaky, and it left me with a bad taste in my mouth. So I don't want to repeat that experience. I'm going to kind of skip over some of this. The windows collapsing are not good for the entertainment business. They're not good for the movie business, and they're not really even that good for the consumer. But I knew it was going to happen, and it did happen, and we have to live with it. You can't just stick your head in the ground and hope these things aren't going to happen. If you're making black and white movies, you can't just hope that they're never going to invent color. Eventually, they're going to invent color no matter how much you might like black and white. That is a perfect analogy for this whole streaming service thing. They're there, just use it. And I think that's kind of what he's saying here with this black and white analogy. Obviously, COVID is not good, but props to them for rolling with the punches.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
For making the most of it. You know what I mean?
They're doing everything they need to properly adapt instead of just trying to weasel some money out of, the initial directors. Everyone is on board with the decision, and they're taking their time to hear every side of concern or praise for this decision. So I'm glad this one's probably the most well thought out plan for going from streaming to movies.
Yeah, for sure. So that's really the basis of that article. So we have a little bit of clarification. I know we did a video about this. We talked about this. A lot of people said the negative reviews were what drove them to put it on Peacock, and we had said no way in hell. That's a decision that was made a few months ago, at least.
Yep.
And David Gordon Green, what is wrong with me? I cannot keep these two guys straight these couple of days. Jason Blum, not David Blum, not Jason Gordon Green, not David Gordon Green, Jason Blum.
Because I was making fun of him for like 15 minutes before this.
Jason Blum, Darren, if you're watching, punch me. Jason Blum has clarified that obviously the decision to put it in theaters and on Peacock was his decision, and it was made out of a desire for wanting people to be able to see Halloween Kills. And of course, if the pandemic is still raging on and we're still in wave number 45 next October, then I'm sure they'll do the same exact thing again. Hopefully, fingers crossed, pray to God, we will be out of this by then. And they'll be able to just do a traditional theatrical release for Halloween Kills, but we'll have to see. J-Dead says, even with Peacock, I still think Halloween Kills makes a 66 million opening. That's a bold prediction, my friend, but I hope it does. That's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Art says, I'm curious to see how well Halloween Kills will do on Peacock. I think it'll do well.
My only concern is that Peacock isn't necessarily the most well-known or
that's fair
streaming service out there.
I will say
it has good content.
It has good content, and I think a lot of people actually have the free version of Peacock. Like, I was actually talking to somebody I work with the other day, and she was like, "Yeah, we're watching the show on Peacock or whatever." And I think a lot of people have the free version.
Yes,
but I don't think a lot of people are paying for the advanced version that the ad-free whatever version that Halloween Kills is going to be on. So I don't know. I mean, I'm with Art and J-Dead. I'm with both of you guys. I hope Halloween Kills. I have a good feeling after seeing what Shang-Chi kind of looked like it was a fluke, that it was just like, it was the big Marvel movie at the time and it was making a ton of money. But after seeing Venom, and Venom topped Shang-Chi, Venom destroyed, for all intents and purposes, Venom destroyed the box office.
I know why.
For right now.
We all know why. Because everyone's under the assumption that Venom is connected to Spider-Verse, and the Spider-Verse is already. I wasn't gonna spoil it.
I'm kidding.
Like fans think that. Fans think that. Fans think that this Venom movie is connected to the Spider-Verse, and everyone's willing to go watch it over Shang-Chi because it's connecting to a larger story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So that's why.
Yeah. So I'm with you guys. I hope that Halloween Kills does really, really well theatrically and on Peacock, but we'll have to see. I know, Miguel, you got to hop out of here soon, right?
It's not that. It's just the fact that my battery's going to die. I'm literally at 10 minutes, and it's an X on my battery thing right now.
Well, we're going to hop out of here anyways. I'm going to hurry on to bed before I start making up new names. Guys, I think that's going to do it for episode 42 of Let's Talk Movies. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. If you've been with us from the beginning, please, if you're watching us after the fact, let us know in the comments below. What do you think of this new Halloween Kills news about Jason Blum, not David Blum, Jason Blum?
He got it. He got
saying
it.
that it's going to be, or giving a little bit of clarity on the decision to throw it on Peacock and in theaters. Also about the story of Halloween Ends and kind of how the story of Halloween Ends has evolved with the pandemic. What do you think about Sam Raimi returning to Marvel? And let us know what you think about the whole Friday the 13th lawsuit and the fact that Victor Miller, once again, if you're just joining us, Victor Miller has won the original rights to the original Friday the 13th film, not the franchise, but the original film. So thanks so much for hanging out with us, guys. New episodes of Let's Talk Movies podcast premiere every single Monday and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, except for this Friday, because I'm going to be out of town. But we're also going to have our first Let's Talk Movies vlog in place of that. The Halloween commentary from last Saturday drops tomorrow, and the Halloween 2018 commentary drops on Thursday. And we'll have a whole lot more content coming to you before the release of Halloween Kills. We have got 3 different shows here at the channel. We've got this main Let's Talk Movie show. We've got Purely and Simply Evil, and we do Let's Watch Movies. I really do need to go to bed. I'm losing my mind right now. It's the most Monday of Mondays ever, where we watch movies with you guys live on the show. So thank you guys so much. God bless, and we'll talk to you soon.
Peace.
See ya. Bye.